placed. On this piece of land I retrace what creation's hand has drawn. And he plays on me till the song is afloat up on the strings, and it opens the doors to the light. And I learn from the words which I write that the song is the same as I am the same as the birds and mountain streams. And we live and die in the flame of the great Creator's dreams. La 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 la. Thank you. I believe, if I'm following my program here correctly, it is time and my pleasure to introduce Reverend Ken Wilcox. Is he present? Oh, no. He said he's flexible. Never mind. I'm still going to introduce him. I happen to be sitting here because my friend Catherine Archer had some stuff to do. She's leaving town. So she called up and said, Cooper, would you do this? My name is Don Cooper. I'm very pleased and honored to be here with you all. That was a song called Revelation I wrote many, many years ago back in the woods of Vermont. Thinking about creative flow. I loved the meditation this morning. And to learn from the life in me, that the rev will be coming up real soon. And it's great to see that you're all waiting patiently in the room, and he'll open the doors to the light. And we'll learn from the words which he might write that the songs are the same as I am, the same as the woods and mountain streams. And we'll live and die in the flame of the great Creator's dreams. I could write another, but we'll just keep going. I don't know. I don't know a lot of cover songs, but I could. What do you got in mind? I'll tell you what we'll do here. Ken's obviously working on things. And now, without further ado, welcome, Reverend Ken Wilcox.
Oh, thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. What an amazing and wonderful day we have here. If you're joining us online, we're very grateful you are. If you're here in person, we're very happy to have you here. All life asks and all it requires is the opportunity to appear. You're that opportunity, and so am I. It's the purpose of this wonderful teaching of ours to keep us reminded of this essential truth in our lives. And to help this truth show up in our lives, there's only one thing that we need to do. And that is to leave all our troubles and our fears, our would-haves, could-haves, should-haves, leave all that stuff outside. And for the next 45 minutes or so, to open up an avenue of spirit possibilities. And what are spirit possibilities? Well, they're for more love, more joy, more great music, more optimism, more laughter, more fun, all those things in life that make us feel alive. So know you're in a great place this morning, and Spirit is going to recognize and reward you abundantly. Well, I have a lot of announcements this morning, so let me get my clickers to make sure that I won't miss them all. And the first thing that we want to do this morning is we want to, I don't know if you've heard the news, but there was another shooting in Jacksonville yesterday. And several people died. It was a racially motivated shooting. And so we want to keep those people in prayers, all of them. I had thought about changing, when I woke up this morning and heard that news, I had thought about changing the whole tenor of my talk and taking out all the humorous stuff. When you hear the talk, you may say to yourself, well, I think he did that. But then I thought, I was like, no, we desperately need humor. And we need to feel better, even when we're confronting these situations. So I kept it in pretty much. But we do want to do our prayer work to see these families being healed. Do prayer work to healing of why a 20-year-old guy in his 20s would take a AK-47 and go kill people that he didn't even know. We want to keep that in mind, and our whole culture and nation about, why is this happening, and can we have a healing from all of this? Because we desperately are in need of a healing, and a healing can come about. We don't have to accept this. This does not have to be normal. There is a better way to live, and let us have that vision and move towards it, a better way to live. So a couple of more announcements. We have the Mystic Fair going on. This will be happening in October. Fran Stanko, where's Fran at? She needs help with the ticketing, doing the ticketing. So if you could see her, if you'd like to do that. We have a class that's starting on Thursday, September 7th at 6:30 here, and that is Revealing Wholeness. We have a variety show that we're going to be doing in October, and if you have a talent you would like to perform, see Terry Hoke. She's the one organizing that talent. Let's see, hospitality. We're always in need of help for hospitality, and so if you'd like to help out with hospitality, please see Linda Simpson for that. We also are going to have a game night. Jim, will you tell me what night that game night is? There's a flyer right there in front of you. 31st, and that's going to be at 6:30? 6:30, so a game night at 6:30. Be sure to come for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're also collecting computers and laptops that we will wipe out the memory from and give them to families that are leaving the Betty Griffith shelter. That's the shelter for people seeking freedom from violence. So if you've got an old laptop, a tablet, or a cell phone, bring them to us. We will clean them up, and we can give them to Betty Griffith. And it may make the difference for a family going on to a new life and not going back into the violence that they already have been injured by. So bring those in for us. We also have a matching campaign. The Judy James Gang, from our wonderful practitioner, Judy James, they have given us a $10,000 grant if we can match the $10,000. And so far, in a week's time, we've raised $1,500 of that $10,000. So, yes. So put on your donations to us, Judy James, and we'll know that that's what you're doing for, and then that way we'll be able to have a match. Well, those are all my announcements. I think we've got a lot going on, and that is a good thing. It's a good thing that we have a lot going on. And right now, we're going to hear some amazing music. Don, you want to come up and play for us? This is Don Cooper, first time he's here. Glad to have you here, Don.
Well, I was told that, I should extemporaneously figure out what songs fit the theme, but, you gave us quite a few there, Ken. And yeah, my thoughts are very much with the community in Jacksonville. I love the meditative start. I think I'm going to bring this up a little bit. hear this guitar? Well, there's a sacred tune that dwells inside of me. I heard it in the mountains, I heard it by the sea. I'm sorry, folks, it's been a while. I'll tell you what this song's about. I spent a lot of time in Costa Rica, and right down the street from my house, you know, about as far as here to the parking lot, was a church that always had services on Wednesday nights. In my little house, I had no real windows, so it was very loud, and I would hear their service, and I'd hear them singing, and harken back to times I spent in Jamaica, where I'd be up in the mountains and hear, once again, congregations coming from down in the valleys, singing the sounds of them. And not to be giving you a travel log, but also then time I spent in India and hearing early morning sadhanas in Amritsar in the Golden Temple, where once again it was all this, the community of voices that was always there that pulled us together. And so I wrote this song that I should remember. But it's been a while, but it seems right. Sorry about the false start. Well, there's a sacred tune that dwells inside of me. I've heard it in the mountains, I've heard it by the sea. It calls us all together, the many and the one. It's been around forever and never goes unsung. It's the sum of all that's true, and all I've got to do is raise my voice and sing. It echoes through the canyons, it whispers in the trees, it fills my heart with gladness, it resonates in me. It's the sound of angels passing, zephyrs high above, an answer to my asking for just a little bit of love to help me make it through. And all I've got to do is raise my voice and sing. Alleluia, Hare Ram, Waheguru, Satanam, Kyrie, Hokahe, Namaste, Amen. And this sacred tune, so clarion, so clear, resounds across the ages for everyone to hear. It doesn't need a venue, it doesn't need a band. Just open up and then you may come to understand. It's ancient yet it's new, and all we've got to do is raise our voice and sing. Alleluia, Hare Ram, Waheguru, Satanam, Kyrie, Hokahe, Namaste, Amen. Alleluia, Hare Ram, Waheguru, Satanam, Kyrie, Hokahe, Namaste, Amen. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Dot, where have you been? I can't think of a song that more perfectly matches our teaching. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. That was perfect. And now another perfection is our own Richard Austin. He's going to come up and do a reading and treatment for us. Come on up, Richard.
Green light is on. Okay, here we go. So thank you very much. I had a whole bunch of things to say, but after that song, I think we're good. So thank you very much. Great to be back visiting today. Hope that I can continue to do it. And it's wonderful to be back with family. So I got a chance to get back reacquainted with some late night TV, some comedians. And on Friday night, if you're not aware, Jimmy Fallon on NBC, part of his routine is to go through and write some thank you notes. So since it's Sunday, I thought it was a good day to be thankful. I'd write a few thankful notes while I'm here. And so I'd like to say thank you to all of you for your thoughts, your prayers. I felt them. I'm here because of them, and I am grateful. Thank you for the videos. Thank you for the wonderful love that you've shared. And I think the big thing about all of it is that we get to be practitioners on ourselves as well as others, and you guys have learned so well. I was just so impressed by all of the prayers, the thoughtfulness, and everything that you shared with me through Ken's wonderful videos and requests. So thank you. Thank you. The second thank you note would be to Ken and Beverly, who came to visit me in the hospital. Though I would have just loved having you all come, Ken kept you at bay, which was probably a good thing. I'm not sure that you wanted to see me in in that state of mind, but it would have been fine. So thank you so much. Been great fun getting to know Beverly as well through treatments, meditations, and visits. It's just been awesome. Of course, being a part of the board, I'd like to thank the board as well for, putting up with my absence, getting more done without me there. Just kidding. And again, for all of you, just heartfelt thank you for all that you gave me, all that you continue to give me, and I appreciate your thoughts and prayers so much. When we go through class, we experience an opportunity, and there are times when I do too, where I'm not sure I'm doing the prayer correctly. Have you ever told yourself that? Have you ever thought that or felt that? And so I'm here to say that you did it perfectly. Keep up the good work. There were quite a few times when I didn't get back to let you know that I was doing okay. So that's the manifestation for today, was to come as soon as I felt that it would be appropriate to be here and, not crawling and that kind of thing. Although there were a few of those days. I feel blessed by this family. It's definitely a family that has been very important to me over the years and continues to be. So I thank my family for all that you do. The one other thing I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of is that if you're going through operations, if you have any time in the hospital, if you need a practitioner to help you with that, I have experience, and I'm happy to help. The other thing I want to share, at least that's true for me, there's one thing that helps you get through the whole thing, and it gives you a great deal of joy and comfort, and it's fetal position. So with that, again, thank you so much. So I've been working with a new book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. You know, it's probably 50 years old now, but been doing a little work with that. So I wanted to read from this, and then we'll go right into treatment and get on with the show, so to speak. And this, too, is like a treatment, so feel free if you want to just sit back, relax, close your eyes, and feel this at this time, and then I'll go on from there. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I support myself, and life supports me. I see the evidence of the law working all around me and in every area of my life. I reinforce that which I learn in joyous ways. My day begins with gratitude. I look forward with enthusiasm to the adventures of the day, knowing that in my life all is good. I love who I am and all that I do. I am the living, loving, joyous expression of life, and all is well in my world. And I'll share one more story. As we go into the meditation, I talked with a friend last night, and I caught myself saying, wow, I'm really looking forward to that chemotherapy tomorrow because I want to see what it feels like the second time through. And he says, well, that's a pretty good attitude. What do you think you're going to feel like? I probably shouldn't use that word here on stage this morning, but I think I'm going to feel wonderful, and it's going to be very effective, just to fill in. Anyway, know this truth with me now. The one creative mind is everywhere present. It is within me, and I accept it now. It's without me, well, not without, but it's all around me. And I know that in this moment, that divine mind is everywhere present. It is all the good in my life now. I align with it. I know that this truth is my truth now, and I feel the health and wealth of this family, the wonderful love and giving that's here in this room right now. And for those that aren't with us, we know that we can reach out with thought, prayer, affirmative thoughts, and wonderful prayers for a healing that happens within each and every one of us. I know this truth, and I give thanks for it right here and right now from the bottom of my heart, going out to each and every one of you and beyond into our community. And we give thanks for this opportunity this morning. We give thanks for this family, and we release it to do its greatest good by saying together, and so. A little longer than normal, Ken. I apologize.
That's all right. Well, goodness, it's going to be hard to follow the music and Richard, so. My this morning is the power of now, the power of now. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our wonderful teaching, he said that we could sweep aside every negative condition of the past if we would refuse to think about it or talk about it. And it's the talk about it that gives us the most problem. We love to share our problems. I remember my dear sister, she has transitioned into spirit life now, but at one point she was going through a terrible divorce. I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, oh, Ken, I got to run. She says, the postman's come. I've got to give him an update. I said, Sandra, the poor man's on a government payroll. He's got enough suffering. Complain about the government, complain about the weather, complain about getting older, and you'll find yourself in good company. You'll have people surrounding you. Talk about a good life. Talk about how, there are new possibilities coming to life. Talk about something good, and people will think you're in need of, of going to a rest facility or something. They'll avoid you. We love hearing negative stuff. Dr. Holmes says, yesterday is no longer here. Tomorrow has yet to arrive. Today is God's day, and God's day is my day. Today, bright with hope and filled with promise. Today, my heart is without fear. I have confidence in the good and the enduring and the true. And I am here to bring this vibration to earth. That's what we're here to do. We're here to bring that vibration to earth, to live free from the negativity of yesterday, where the weight of past mistakes and regrets is lifted, clearing a way for the brilliance of the new to shine forth. It's a perspective that can shift and redefine the course of our life. It's like the Tracy Chapman song that's getting a new popularity, Fast Car. She had the line in there, she said, I had a feeling like I belong. I had a feeling like I could be someone. Be someone. That's a spiritual impulse. It comes from the deepest part of us, and it's something that we're all called to remember and to live from and to come back to. Because, you know, the world will get us a little bit hypnotized from time to time, the troubles of the world. But we're always called back. And that's the reason this community is so important, is because it will call you back to remember that you are here to belong, that you are here to be that spirit-filled possibility that God knows you to be through love and joy and happiness. Now, people who have had near-death experiences, that's the one thing they say. They say that when they're in the presence of the divine, that they feel how powerful they are and how loved they are and how wonderful they are, just as they are. And then to come back to earth to channel that energy, to be that energy. We're here raising the vibration of earth. And we can do it. To be reborn anew. That's what Christ said. To once again glimpse the spirit-filled possibilities of our life and say, I can do this. I can do it. You know, one of my biggest hopes that I aspire to have is that when I would go to our center in Atlanta with Kennedy Schultz, in Symphony Hall with 700 people, when you would leave that center, you would think to yourself, you'd have this feeling, my life can work out. And it is my prayer that when we leave this center today, that's what the feeling we have, my life can work out. And there's a greater possibility that's calling to me, and I'm here to answer that possibility. It takes a conscious decision to free ourselves from the chains of past experiences that have held us back. And by we refuse to dwell on the negative. We cut the cord of its power. We liberate our minds and hearts to embrace the positive energy that's available to all of us at all times. But here's the thing. We must release the negative and the anger. We've got to do it because it's absorbing us. And our nation right now is eat up with anger. And I have no clue as to why, really. Why are we so angry? Things are going really well. For the most part, we're fed, we have opportunities, we have freedoms. Why are we so angry? You know, I was talking about my sister. At one time, she dated, when I was a kid, the only hippie that ever came into our household. His name was Lee, and he was a true hippie, a lovely, sweet, and just a happy person. Just a couple of years ago, he got back in touch with me on Facebook. I'm always kind of leery when, you know, I get those little notices. Hey, Ken, do you remember me? I generally don't want to tell him, hey, I was a kid of the 70s. It's kind of hard to remember back then. But I friended him, and just within a little bit, I unfriended him because he had gotten to a place that he was so angry and so mad and hostile. I said, why? You know, he was such a lovely person. People take pride in their anger. And all that anger, all that it ever does, it just creates more circumstances for you to be angry about. Go around with that much anger, and life is going to continue giving you circumstances that will confirm your decision to be angry. You want to be angry, life will give you plenty of justifications to be angry. If you want to be joyful, life will give you plenty of examples to be joyful. It's our decision. Now, this week I had a perfectly reasonable excuse to be very angry. Perfectly reasonable. I had gone to my dentist, and yes, that's always a good thing. and they had found something that was wrong. And it was a serious thing. And it required that I go back to a specialist that I've had to go to a couple of times. This specialist on this one tooth has given me a root canal, a re-root canal. Yeah. A re-root canal is like a second marriage to the same person. It's never going to work out. Yeah. And then on top of it, surgery. The week before Christmas, surgery. And that thing went on for hours. You know the piece of machinery you see out on the interstate where it's a big thing and it rips up the asphalt on the highways? They had a miniature version of that in my mouth. And that's okay, while I'm enduring that, they're piping in Christmas music that I'm having to listen to. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. Now, the specialist, he's quite expensive. You go to them and you hand them your dental insurance card, they just laugh. They think that's the funniest thing in the world. Yeah. They've got like a Hoover vacuum cleaner at the checkout, that just give us your wallet, we'll suck it out, yeah. And I love if you pay them so much money, what do? They give you a little gift bag that's got a miniature thing of toothpaste. It's like, really? Couldn't you give me a whole thing of toothpaste, a little travel size? So I found a problem with the tooth, and the dentist office, they were so apologetic. We're so sorry about that. And I suggested to them, I said, well, do you think I should get back in touch with a specialist? I mean, after all, I have practically paid for the Italian car that he drives. He drives one of those expensive Italian cars that is totally unreliable, that people who drive them have so much money they don't care, they don't even worry about that. And so they were like, well, you can do that if you want. And I thought, well, since he's made a lot of decisions, I'll give him a call and at least get his diagnosis, at least hear from him what he thinks I should do. So I call him up and talking to the receptionist, she's going over my chart, and she says, well, you can come back in. She says, but before he's going to talk to you, he's going to insist that you have a round of x-rays that costs $500 before he's going to even talk to you. And I'm like, really? Really? I'm going to have to pay for him to make a judgment on his work? And when I got off the phone, boy, I was ready to launch into jihad mode. I was going to go on Facebook. I was going to go on Yelp. I was really going to, to really just start a riot there. And I realized finally that if I did that I would just find a lot of people out there who were going to encourage my anger. That's the one thing I was do. I fortunately remembered a piece of advice from my prayer partner. And she always said, whenever you get in a situation where you have an emotional kind of response, it's best to give it 24 hours before you do anything about it. And so that's what I did. I gave it 24 hours and decided that what I would do is write him a note and just let him know what has gone on. Now, I suspect that he may ignore it like he did my telephone call. He may respond with an explanation of how he feels is justified, or he may have a different perspective. There may be a perfectly good reason why he has to charge this, or he may have just never seen it from my perspective. So either way, I will do my part, and it will get it off my chest, and it will give him an opportunity to grow as well. So the same day that I had gone to the dentist, I was set to go to an interfaith event down at Constitution Plaza. We had organized, several groups had organized a commemoration for the 9 slave ships that came into St. Augustine. There were 9 slave ships that came into St. Augustine over our period of history. And this event, we read the names of the ships because we know their names, and then we ring a bell, and we also read the names of the African nations they came from. So it was just a lovely, lovely event. We had 250 people. The weather was lovely. That was amazing. And it was just a heartfelt event, and you could just sense a real healing was taking place. After that, I went to the grocery store. I wanted to pick up some groceries before I got home. I was heading out, and I noticed 2 elderly people. Well, I say elderly. Hell, I'm elderly now. Let's just say older people. And they had these 2 huge baskets of groceries loaded up, and the woman was leaned against the wall. And I could sense there was a problem, that something was going on. And so I approached them and I said, "Are you doing okay? Is there something I can do to help?" And what she told me was that she had had surgery a month before, back surgery, and this was the first time she went out without her back brace on, and it had been too much for her. And so she was leaning with her back leaned up against the wall. So I told her husband, I said, "Well, why don't you pull around and get the car? I'll stand with her and keep her company and just look after her." And that's what he did. And I asked her where she's from. She's just moved here with her husband. They have a niece in the area. They moved down from Long Island, New York. We talked about that a little bit. She's had the surgery. She's looking for a doctor. And I just kept giving her comfort. This is a great place to be. It's a great place to retire. We've got good doctors. All of this is going to work out for you. Don't worry. And she got in the car and she headed away. The next day, I went to the library and I was looking around for a book. I turned the corner and I came upon a lady, and she had a knee brace on, and she was trying to lift her leg up to a stool to get it into some comfort. And I mentioned to her, I have that exact same knee brace, and I know what kind of discomfort you're in. I offered to help her a little bit. Now, here's a funny thing. She's just moved to the area. She needs a knee surgeon. So I told her, I said, "Well, why don't you try out Mayo?" And I also just shared with her a little bit. This is a great place to be. You're going to really love it. It was a good decision to move here. And so that was just that. But here's the thing. Those 2 people came to me, and I was able to give them some comfort. And in giving them comfort, I really felt good about myself. I felt joyful. I felt that this is a loving world, and I had participated in the love of the world. But if I had stayed in the anger moment from the dentist, I would have never been able to experience that. I would have just stayed so focused on my anger, I wouldn't have even seen them. I wouldn't have even been there for them. By releasing the anger, I allowed myself to be a conduit of God's love. And this is what makes us feel valuable. This is what makes us feel worthwhile. This is what Tracy Chapman is talking about, feeling a belonging, that I could be someone. It's when we know we're channels of God's love and that we're bringing about a healing and a blessing right where we are. And it just can be as simple as being with someone as their husband brings around a car, helping someone put their foot up. Doesn't take a lot. You have exactly what you need to be a blessing to the world. You have everything you need to be God's miracle here and now. And Spirit is counting on you. Dr. Holmes says, yesterday is no longer here. Tomorrow has not arrived. The present moment is all we have. The past is behind us, an unchangeable chapter in life's story. Not even God itself can change the past because it has no interest in it. None at all. It's more excited about the now. The now. The now is a canvas waiting to be painted. But this gift we have to take in our own hands. Today is where our actions and our decisions and our dreams converge. It's a clean slate that allows us to create a masterpiece of our own design. Today is God's day, and it is my day. With this promise of divine potential within us, we can move out into the world. And in spite of all the turmoil going on in the world, we can say there's a better day coming when we acknowledge ourselves as co-creators with God for our lives, of our destinies, reshaping our lives in alignment with our highest aspirations. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to lift our eyes to a better knowing. I was thinking about my friend this week. I knew her a long time ago. Her name was Judy. She worked with me at TGI Fridays in Atlanta when I was right out of college. That was a fun experience, let me tell you. Judy had made the mistake. She was in love with the drummer of a rock and roll band. That's never a good story there. Sorry, Don. So she was in love with this rock and roll band. Now, the other thing about Judy is that she was miraculous with numbers. She could look at a whole row of numbers and figure out where a mistake was. And so the insurance companies had hired her, because this was before computer programs, and she would go over the numbers coming in. She could find mistakes. Now, unfortunately, like I said, she was tied to the rock and roller, and they were engaged in a little habit that some people in the 80s were, and this little habit had a tendency to make people paranoid. She said they would stay up all night long listening to the preachers on television in the early mornings. So she was working downtown. They had her in an office that was next to the window. So she had a full window high up in one of the high-rise office buildings. She had gone out to lunch with her rock and roll boyfriend. Now, she also carried a gun with her, because even though she was involved with a Class A felony habit, she was fearful of the crime in downtown Atlanta. So she carried a gun with her. She went out to lunch that day. Her and the boyfriend got into an argument, a heated argument, because that's what happens when you date somebody in a rock and roll band. She came back to the office. She took her pocketbook and she threw it in the bottom drawer of her desk. When she threw it in the bottom drawer of her desk, the gun went off and shot her in the ankle. She hollered out, "Sniper, sniper, sniper." They closed the whole city block off. They evacuated everybody from the office building. Finally, a detective had to be standing around thinking to himself, I don't see any glass here. This window is full. There's no bullet has come through this glass. How did that happen? Finally, they found her gun in a parking lot and realized she shot herself. You don't want to be a Judy. You want to live from your highest aspirations, knowing that you here and you here alone can live and experience great good. Dr. Holmes says, by infusing our actions with intention and purpose, we can navigate this day as a sacred opportunity. You are a sacred opportunity. You were God's best answer for your life when it created you. And it has not been discouraged for you for 1 second. It still sees you that way. It still knows you that way, that you're here so you can experience God's goodness right as you are. Dr. Holmes says if we will embrace today, we will find a bright and promised future that is boundless. The canvas of our lives is not to be limited by past mistakes, perceived limitations. And instead, it's an expansive landscape where dreams can take root and flourish. We're here to dream big, big. And if they don't come about, dream again. Dream of a new possibility. There are all kinds of, life is forever wanting us to be awed with how much it supports and loves us. I saw an article this week in Washington State. They have each year, this little community has a festival for the salmon run that comes up at this time of the year. Well, on the river that they are, salmons are not coming up the river anymore. And so they're having a salmon festival without salmons. Now, The Native American population in that area, along with scientists, have realized that a big problem is the dams that they have constructed on this river, and they're getting ready to remove the dams. They were talking to one of the experts, and he said, how many years do you think it will take before the salmons reappear? And the expert said, it may not take years, it may happen in weeks. In weeks. When we put our intention to God's growth, to God's possibility, things can turn around quicker than we've ever envisioned. We stand at the crossroads of the present moment. And so we want to acknowledge that we have power of our thoughts. Today, my heart is without fear. I have confidence in the good and the enduring truth. The absence of fear and the presence of confidence are catalysts for greatness. We are here to experience greatness. And when we believe in our inherent goodness of life and the enduring truth of our capabilities, we transcend all self-doubt and hesitation. We're not alone on this journey. We have an intelligence flowing through us, available to us, that we can't even comprehend. There's more going on in your life than that between the top of your head and the bottom of your feet. We are here to be awed with Spirit's possibilities. I heard another story this week. It's about a guy, his name was Leslie Lemke. I think he's still alive. He was born in the early 50s. He had such disabilities that his parents didn't want him. They gave him up for adoption. The social worker who was working with him, she called a couple who were desperate for a child. And she says, this child has tremendous disabilities. She said, but without 24-hour care, he won't survive. And the mother said, bring him on. Bring him on. The little guy got there. And at first, he couldn't even swallow. He did not have the skills to swallow. So she would put one Cheerio in his mouth at a time and would rub his throat to get him to swallow. And she did something similar for walking and everything else. Now, at one point, she decided to buy him a piano because she wanted him to have the experience of doing something and getting a result in a different way. So she was just thinking that he would just bang on the piano. One night, her and her husband went to sleep, and the husband told her, he says, you've left the television on downstairs. Go turn it off. She goes downstairs, television is on, but there's a Moonlight Sonata playing. It's him, Leslie, on the piano, playing the Moonlight Sonata perfectly. He is a savant, and they say now he learned over 7,000 musical pieces perfectly. All he would need to hear was them one time. We have power within us we can't imagine. And our journey is not alone in isolation, but of shared growth, of a collective evolution. We're all growing together. And together we bring the light of Spirit into this world. So let us drop the burdens of yesterday and grasp the magnificence of today and boldly step towards a bright and beautiful tomorrow, to embrace the radiant gifts with open arms, with the wisdom of the past to guide us, the promise of the future to motivate us, the potential of the present to empower us, with hearts filled with hope, minds fortified and with confidence, so that our actions can be fueled by God's love made manifest. It's what we're here to do, to manifest God's love. And in spite of all the anger, the turmoil, and all the trouble we see in the world, let us move out among our family and friends and tell them and prove by example there is a better way. There's a way to live in God's love. There's a way to manifest Spirit's possibility here, now, in this lifetime. It's what you've been called to do, and Spirit has so much faith in you. You are God's chosen child to be here, to live a life of love and joy, of music and happiness and peace and prosperity and health. You've been called, and God is urging you on every step of the way. This is the truth in your life today. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. Thank you.
That's invigorating. Fills me with many thoughts, but this actually started out as a reflection on improvising guitar leads. And the recognition that if you're worried about where you'd been instead of where you are, it would inhibit your creativity. And that, if I can find this. It did help, though, to know where you were going. It's called There's More to Do, and I think this is my reflection on that. It's about knowing where you're going. Doesn't matter where you've been. Being present in the moment is a good place to begin. If you think you have to think about it, and the doubt's already in, there's more to do. There's so much more to do. It's about keeping on the right track, but not minding when you stray. There's a road that always winds back, and with luck you'll find your way. If you think you have to think about it, it's probably not okay. There's more to do. There's so much more to do. All tossing and a turning won't get you anywhere. If you haven't got the will to live, the heart to try, in time no one will care. It's like flying across the ocean. It's like walking into town. You don't reach your destination till the wheels and heels touch down. If you think you have to think about it, then you better turn around. 'Cause there's more to do. There's so much more to do. Tossing and a turning won't get you anywhere. If you haven't got the will to live, the urge to move, in time no one will care. It's like flying across the ocean, it's like walking into town. You don't reach your destination till the wheels and heels touch down. If you think you have to think about it, man, you better turn around. 'Cause there's more to do. There's so much more to do. There's more to do. There's so much more to do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. All right. Hang around. We're going to have you play just in just a second. So now we come to the time we support ourselves. And we support this center because this center is important. We're doing things here that wouldn't get done if we weren't here. This whole interfaith event that we had in Constitution Plaza, yes, we had a lot of groups involved and they did a lot of work, but the initial phase of it was actually Brenda and Joy Hamp getting it going, getting it moving. It's not too far to say without us it wouldn't have happened. And it was important and vital that it happened. So we're doing good work, and you're being here and helping us keep this place going, keeping us open, is helping bring about the healing that we all need. So you can support us in several ways. You can support us in prayer work, praying to keep our center going and alive and thriving, volunteer, with hospitality, with Mystic Fair, and of course you can do it by a coin. However you choose to support us, if you will place your intention over your heart and read with us our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance, As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. If the ushers have stepped down, Don, we know you got a great song for us.
It's one we all know. Been many years since I played this. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of a rainbow so pretty in the sky are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? Well, they're really saying that I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, ooh, what a wonderful world. Colors of a rainbow so pretty in the sky are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, ooh, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, Victoria. And thank you for your support. Your support is allowing the center to grow, to thrive, to be the bright beacon of hope and light and love and inspiration that we've been called to do. So we are grateful for it. We bless it. We release it, knowing it does its good and perfect work, returning to us multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, so let's close our service today with an affirmative prayer. I'm going to do it in the first person, but take it in for yourself. If I say something that works for you, hold tight to that. If I say something that doesn't work for you, just let that part slide by. But just know this truth with me today. There's but one God and one mind and one power. And that power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. It created me from itself plus nothing else, so I could walk the soil of St. Augustine, so I could be here to know something better for myself, so I can lift up and rise up to raise a vibration of love and joy and laughter. I am here to be awed with how much God loves and supports me. I am here to be a healing balm to myself and everyone around me and to the world as a whole. I am here to be awed with the love and support of God. So here today, I make a decision that I'm going to leave behind every shackle of lack and limitation, of fear and of judgment that I have ever put on myself. I'm leaving them behind, and I'm moving on up. I'm moving on up the mountainside. I'm moving on up to a better knowing for myself. I have lifted my eyes up, and I have seen the glory of God raining down upon me. I've seen a world where there is peace and harmony, where the soldiers have dropped their weapons and the spears have been turned into plowshares. I've seen a world where there's no more violence, where people live in love, where people treat one another as God's children. I've envisioned a place of love and harmony where every child knows that they are a conduit of God's love, and we are here to shine bright with the possibilities of God. This is what I've come to do. Spirit is calling me on, and this morning I know I am on the move. I am not turning back. I have seen a new heaven, a new earth, and a new Jerusalem, and I am on my way home. God is calling me forth. This is my truth. Every cell of my being radiates this right knowing, and I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good, perfect, bold, and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, my dear friends, how did I end up here? All right, I want you to know something, and that is your life. Your life, it's not a problem to be solved, it's a miracle unfolding. Your job is to go name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and make it your own. God bless us all. Now let us go be the miracle God is calling us to be. Until we see each other again, this is Reverend Ken with my new friend Don, wishing you many blessings.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late. Oh, please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Oh, another day go by and still children cry. Put a little love in your heart. Come on. If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart. Hey, and the world will be a better place. No, the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Oh, put a little love in your heart. Ooh, yeah, put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Well, you take a good look around. Man, if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope you will decide kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart. Don't you know the world will be a better place? Yeah, the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Come on.